Question number 7. A capacitor plates are charged by a battery with V volt. After charging, battery is disconnected and a dielectric slab with dielectric constant K is inserted between its plates. The potential across the plates of capacitor. The potential across the plates of a capacitor will become option 1 0, option 2 V by 2, option 3 V by K, option 4 kV. This is the key for this question, official key. These things and these things. It is given option 3 as the answer, V by K. And also you see dielectric constant K, is inserted between its plates. The potential difference across the plates should come. Okay, there should be potential difference. Wordings are not all that proper. So PD across the plates of the capacitor. Okay, 4 options according to this. Option 3 is correct. Okay. The key explanation we are going to see now. This is the circuit. Initially, the circuit is charged by a battery of voltage V, let's say. Then battery disconnected after charging is over. Again, there is a battery shown to be in connection. So it is as if this is disconnected. This is not there. Disconnected. So circuit is to be considered like this, and there is a dielectric. Dielectric totally occupies a space between the plates of the capacitor. Okay, so battery disconnected. You will have to be very careful. We will see the solution. Q charge remains constant. Again, okay, this has to be constant. Some printing error. So C prime equal to Kc. C prime is the capacitance after the dielectric is introduced. C is the old capacitance. K is the dielectric constant. Q prime equal to C prime V prime. The primed symbols. See, this you call as C prime rather than C dash. Okay, it is better to call this as C prime, V prime, etc. So Q prime equal to C prime V prime. Charge after the dielectric is introduced, Q prime. Capacitance after the dielectric is introduced, C prime. Voltage after the dielectric is introduced, V prime. This is fine. This is formula. But you know, charge will remain same. Unprimed symbols will indicate the quantities before the dielectric is introduced. So these two, Q prime and Q, are equal. Therefore, Q is also equal to C prime by C prime into V prime. Okay. So Q is equal to, this Q is written as it is, C prime, but C prime is Kc, see here. So it's written. Then V prime as it is. But we want V prime. So V prime is equal to Q divided by Kc. But Q by C is V. So V by K. So V prime equal to V by K. V prime is voltage PD between the plates after the dielectric is introduced. So V prime is equal to V by K. Option 3. That is correct. Understood? Question number 8. The best instrument for accurate measurement of EMF of a cell is option 1 potentiometer, option 2 meter bridge, option 3 voltmeter, option 4 ammeter and voltmeter. Answer for this question is option 1 according to the key. Answer is potentiometer. Okay, potentiometer is for more accurate measurement. potentiometer is fine because it depends on what is known as null deflection method. Null deflection, that is, you take the reading when the galvanometer shows zero deflection. It means it doesn't depend on what current is flowing in the circuit at that instant. Then it shows zero deflection. Okay, so potentiometer is better. Meter bridge, of course, we will use mainly for comparison of resistances or determination of resistance or specific resistance. Voltmeter we can use to measure potential difference. EMF is also a kind of potential difference only. But the problem with the voltmeter is it has got its own resistance. So when you use a voltmeter in a circuit, its resistance is getting added up. So it cannot give you the accurate measurement of the EMF of the cell. Because by definition, EMF is the PD between the terminals when the cell does not deliver any current. But when you connect a voltmeter, the cell will deliver a current. See here, if this is a cell, has got an EMF E, let's say, you connect it to a voltmeter, let's say. Connect it to a voltmeter. Your aim is, of course, to determine EMF value, voltage between the terminals, when the cell does not deliver a current. But when you include a voltmeter, the cell will deliver a current. That is the reason why voltmeter will deflect. So that may not give you EMF. So voltmeter will not give you EMF for that. Here also, of course, ammeter is used to measure current, but voltmeter will not give accurate value of the EMF. Potentiometer gives because it depends on null deflection. Meaning you take reading when the galvanometer shows zero deflection. So the resistance of the galvanometer doesn't matter at all because after all you are taking reading when the galvanometer shows zero deflection. So this answer is fine. This explanation is given for the understanding sake. Okay, this is only MCQ. So the correct option is option 1 as given in the question. Okay. Question number 9. An electric current is passed through a circuit containing two wires of same material connected in parallel. If the lengths of the radii of the wires are in the ratio, if the lengths and radii of the wires are in the ratio 3:2 and 2:3, that is, lengths are in the ratio 3:2, radii are in the ratio 2:3, then the ratio of the currents passing through the wire will be option 1 2:3, option 2 3:2, option 3 8:27, option 4 27:8. This is from key. Okay, so given answer for this question number 9 is option 3, 8:27. Circuit diagram is given here. Two resistors are in parallel and connected to the source voltage here. Length ratio 3:2. This is L1, L2. Okay, length ratio 3:2. Radii ratio 2:3. What is the ratio of the current? I1 is to I2. That is the question. We know that R is rho into L by A, general formula. Here R1 is rho into L1 by pi R1 squared. But here rho and rho, you should not put rho 1 and rho 2 because they are made of same material. So rho and rho. Your aim is to find I1 is to I2. First we will find R1 by R2. R1 by R2 will be, you have to divide, or rho will get cancelled. So L1 by L2, pi R2 squared by pi R1 squared because you are dividing. Pi will get cancelled. So L1 into R2 squared by L2 into R1 squared. Given L1 by L2, L1 is to L2 means L1 by L2. 3:2 means 3 by 2. So L1 by L2 3 by 2 into R2 by R1 3:2. 3 by 2. 3 square 3 cube. 2 square 2 cube. 3 cube by 2 cube. Is it clear? 3 cube 27, 2 cube 8, 27 by 8. So I1 by I2 use Ohm's law. V by R1 by V by R2. V is constant because the resistors are connected in parallel. Okay. So V will get cancelled. You will get R2 by R1. But R1 by R2 27 by 8. R2 by R1 8 by 27. Therefore, the correct answer is option 3. Okay. 8 is to 27. 8 by 27, that is only 8 is to 27. Understood? Next question. Next question. Question number 10. By increasing the temperature, the specific resistance of a conductor and a semiconductor, option 1 increases for both. Option 2 decreases for both. Option 3 increases for a conductor and decreases for a semiconductor. Option 4 decreases for a conductor and increases for a semiconductor. This is from Key. According to Key, option 3 is correct. Specific resistance of a conductor increases and for a semiconductor decreases with increase in temperature. Because for a conductor, temperature coefficient of resistivity, say alpha, positive, and for a semiconductor, alpha, negative. Okay, alpha positive. For all good conductors, alpha positive, meaning when temperature increases, resistance will increase. Okay, so why should it be like that? Specific resistance is same as resistivity. It is same as resistivity. Right? Option 1, specific resistance of a conductor or specific resistance increases for both. Option 1. Option 2, specific resistance decreases for both. Both means for a conductor and a semiconductor. Increases for a conductor and decreases for a semiconductor. Decreases for a conductor and increases for a semiconductor. Option 3 is correct. See, why it happens like this means the mechanism itself, the mechanism of conduction itself is different. For a conductor, you have free electrons. Free electrons. When temperature increases, relaxation time will decrease. That only leads to increase in resistance or increase in resistivity. Whereas for a semiconductor, charge carriers will increase. Electron and hole pairs will be created more at the higher temperature. You will have to refer to the band theory. So here charge carriers are produced for a semiconductor, leading to more conductivity. That means less resistivity. More charge carriers at high temperatures. Here the relaxation time of free electrons. The mechanism itself is different. That's why specific resistance increases for a conductor at the same time decreases for a semiconductor. These explanations are for your understanding only. So then only you can easily give the correct answer. Option 3 is the correct answer. Fine.